It always begins with whispers. Tiny clues thrown around or posted in obscure forums or dubious online corners. At dinner gatherings where nobody is actually expected to pay attention, Meghan Markle's name was included in those kinds of rumors for years, particularly when it came to the Epstein circle, a realm that most people only hear about in conspiracy forums. But these days, those murmurs are loud and unrelenting instead of whispers. Furthermore, despite Meghan's team's best efforts to muffle the noise, the fissures are becoming more noticeable. Additionally, he listed 3 reasons why Miss Markle may be a good candidate for a deposition. She is someone who was clearly a close colleague of his for a while, so she may have witnessed what he did. Real receipts are increasingly being used to verify what were once written off as online rumors or troll gibberish. Emails, phone conversations, old images, and no longer anonymous sources. This isn't a gossip rag's attempt at smear campaigns. It occurs when a large number of people who have been silent for an extended period of time grow weary of it. Let's not mince words. There is no direct criminal connection between Meghan and Epstein. Her closeness to that entire network of yachts, parties, and billionaires is real, and when you combine that with what appears to be an aggressive attempt to obliterate the past, you get a completely different picture than the one Meghan has been painting for years. No one is claiming she was involved in anything illegal. Prior to the royal titles, podcasts, and Netflix partnerships, Meghan was an actress who struggled. Small parts and appropriate for a few low-budget movies. Nothing revolutionary, deal or no deal, however, it's becoming more evident how she handled the world behind the camera, particularly the yacht parties. Nowadays, a yacht is more than just a luxurious boat cruise with champagne and wealthy people dancing in the moonlight. It's code among worldwide influencer circles and upscale Hollywood. It is where up-and-coming actresses, models, influencers, and particularly those with ambition, meet the actual gatekeepers. Producers, tech tycoons, and oil billionaires are powerful, anonymous individuals who operate behind the scenes. Indeed, Epstein's team were constantly present. People who frequently attended those events have allegedly mentioned Meghan repeatedly. She wasn't merely in the background. She wasn't someone's plus one. She was out and about, and as one insider put it, strategically present. She knew who to approach, who to avoid, who to charm, and who to position next to for the ideal picture. It may be referred to as smart networking, which it was. However, the business that she retained is currently being scrutinized under a microscope. And this is where it becomes unsettling instead of fascinating. According to sources, Meghan's team attempted to bury that aspect of her life rather than simply go on. We're discussing PR companies cleaning up old photos. Media outlets are being urged to retract reports. Reporters are being paid or under pressure to overlook the yacht party era. One reporter from a well-known publication even acknowledged that they were given special access to Meghan in exchange for ceasing to look into her connections to a specific socialite with Epstein connections. That cleanup isn't typical. It is a full-fledged operation. And when you're making such a concerted effort to conceal something, people begin to question what you're afraid of. The Epstein name carries a burden that's difficult to overcome. It's about the system he revealed, not simply what he did. He gathered together a web of wealthy, powerful, untouchable individuals, and Meghan, whether she realized it or not, was on the edge of that web. Let's be clear, there is no proof that she did anything unlawful, but she was there. She participated in the event. That's not a maybe anymore. And it's all coming back at the worst possible moment. Meghan's most recent Netflix endeavor is failing miserably. The reviews are harsh. The public is tired, and critics are calling it excessively manicured and soulless. I am fed up with the constant effort to paint the Duchess as a victim of every system she has ever been a part of, the constant misinterpretation of her image, and the PR polish. The question, who is she really, is being asked. And after years of trying to manage your image, that's the worst thing you want people asking you, because the Meghan people are suddenly realizing that she doesn't look like the Meghan we were sold. The brutality of the irony, Meghan had the option to simply claim it and say, "Yeah, I was there, I hustled, I did what I had to do, and I grew." And many women in that era did the same, so people would have respected it. No one is criticizing the hustle. The cover-up, dishonesty, and linkages used to make it seem like nothing happened are what people are criticizing. All of this goes right to the heart of what Meghan says she stands for. Empowerment via transparency. Opposing oppressive systems, being genuine, is the foundation of your entire platform. You cannot be caught washing your past as if it were a negative review. It is ineffective, and people feel deceived. Even some of her most devoted fans are becoming silent. They no longer trust her, not because they despise her. When your brand is based on truth and empowerment, and it turns out that you've been threatening legal action to prevent the release of old party images and stifling journalists by buying off editors, that's hardly empowerment. That is manipulation, and it isn't working. Remember that this isn't all taking place in a vacuum. Formerly silent celebs are now speaking up. Former companions are withdrawing. What was formerly whispered in back rooms is now being posted, printed, and openly circulated. Royal insiders are pulling away. You can sense the change in energy. The key question now is, where does Meghan go from here? Because she will completely lose control of the story if she keeps acting like this is just tabloid noise and denying that quiet. And after that, someone else will mold it for her, and they are already. Nowadays, tabloids and dubious internet outlets aren't the only ones speaking. Outlets in the mainstream are beginning to sniff around. Initially quietly, but now more boldly, reporters are being reassigned by editors who previously ignored them. Journalists who were lured in with exclusives or gagged with legal threats are beginning to come clean. And let's face it, all it takes is one resurfaced message and one released photo. When the proper person drops their name, the house of cards begins to tumble. Additionally, Meghan is running out of time to prepare for it. As you can see, the boat party scene she was a part of wasn't a myth. People who don't typically upload selfies attended these events, which were actually videotaped. Foreign countries are financed by those with strong ties to Hollywood, including Jeffrey Epstein. These gatherings serve as both selecting grounds and networking opportunities. Everything came down to appearance, demeanor, and understanding how to maneuver across the room. Who was there, who was welcomed back, and who received funding? Several sources now claim that she navigated those rooms expertly. Not in a dubious manner, but with a purpose. A former entertainment publicist who briefly collaborated with her claimed that she had ambition, a plan, and an unwavering fixation with control. Her story was all-encompassing. If a journalist made a reference to her history, there would be an instant call and a nice legal caution. If a photographer took an unpleasant photo, she would insist on having it taken down. This compulsive drive to mold the narrative is what's currently backfiring. Because fingerprints are left behind when you press too hard to wipe, and they are suddenly appearing everywhere. Consider the media outfits that allegedly rejected coverage, offers, unless they were allowed to maintain editorial freedom. Recently, an entertainment reporter came out to say that Meghan's staff gave them first dibs on unreleased images, interviews, and even Netflix teasers, all provided that they don't bring up a specific boat party in any way. The royal family is another factor. The journalists declined, and now, years later, they are speaking out because the industry is fed up with being exploited. Oh, they're not very happy. According to one former royal employee, there is a silent terror going on behind the scenes. It seems that some of them were aware of her before, although Meghan's staff assured everyone that nothing scandalous would ever surface, and that her past was clean, they still trusted her. Now, however, they're watching the headlines pile up and aren't exactly ready to be drawn into the situation. Rumor has it that some royal PR teams are already changing tactics in an effort to put themselves at a greater distance, subtly revising talking points in anticipation of the chance that the story may blow up more spectacularly than anyone anticipated. Because no royal wants to be close to Meghan if her name is in the same phrase as Epstein, even in passing. However, the fact that it was preventable is what makes this whole situation feel so raw at the moment. Meghan had choices. She could have come forward sooner and told everyone that her path to the palace wasn't a straight line. That she had times in her life when she made decisions driven by naivete or even survival ambition. That she attended events that she may now regret.